Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Bad Awards Show!
Yay!
We invited 6 groups to face off against us in an action-packed game of Dungeons & Dragons. They had just a few hours to stop an evil plot, score the most points on the leaderboard, and see if they could take out the Big Bad. Today we're going to celebrate our players' accomplishments and declare the ultimate champion. The Big Bad is brought to you by Dwarven Forge, makers of fine gaming terrain. Please visit them at dwarvenforge.com to learn more about how to bring your games to life using their amazing modular terrain pieces. I'm your host, Paul Siegel, and with me as always is the Big Bad himself, Dan Collins. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Paul. It is mostly a pleasure to be here. It is a bit unnerving to be here with all of my former victims and opponents, but I'm willing to man up for it today, Paul, so thank you very much.
Well, hopefully we can set that all aside for today and celebrate the many accomplishments of our players.
Paul, do not forget about the many thrilling accomplishments of the Big Bad himself.
We'll get to those as well. First, though, let's meet our teams. From episode 1, representing second best D&D, please welcome Stephen Buckley.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Fingers crossed for first best this time.
In episode 2, we faced off against the East Coast Slayers. Representing them here today is Steve McCauley. Welcome, Steve.
What up, gangsters? We ready to roll, baby. Let's go.
East Coast.
Joining us from Madbird Streams, we'd love to welcome Steph.
Hey, nice to be here.
Yay, Madbird.
And representing the Horde Takers, we have with us Stefan Picorni and Ann Carlton. Welcome, Horde Takers.
Woo! We're the Horde Takers, Save Makers, Doom Breakers, don't you mess around with we.
Nice. That was awesome.
In episode 5, we took on the members of WebDM, and we have with us Jim Davis and Emma Lambert. Welcome.
Hi.
Yes.
So, did you guys not get the memo about sending someone named Steve? No.
No, there was no
Every
memo.
team needs a Steve. We're docking you points. Every team needs a Steve.
I don't even know a Steve.
Named Steve.
No, it's not.
You can legally change your name. It just needs the 2 arms and I think $25.
Finally, from the Knights of Ulek, we are joined by none other than Jay Scott. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you for having me back. Really appreciate it.
Lord Kumar.
Excellent. All right, to get things started, we're going to list off the awards of merit. Our teams did a variety of exciting things taking on the Big Bad and accomplished some unexpected and thrilling moments, and we would like to celebrate those with you now. Our first award is the most dramatic. Now, this group showed up with a special energy, their own theme song, and in costume, and many dramatic statements. The winners are none other than the Horde Takers.
Thank you.
We have a clip to share with you of some of the most dramatic moments from the Horde Takers.
While I'm boldly striding forward, I'm going to say, "Despair, foul cultists! It is I, Phalar, chosen and blessed of Heronius, who is here to save Eric."
Yes, it is my destiny to go and retrieve the cleric. Do not worry, Phalar. You can count on Ragnar. But I will need some help getting across this since I am wearing my splint mails. It is made out of adamantine, as it should be. Who wishes to throw me across?
I avoid the lashing tentacle. And I slash. I grab it with my hand, and woo! I push myself off and let myself swing in an arcing angle so that I'll arrive on the side of the cliff over there. And then like a panther, I'll grab onto the side of the cliff.
What's going on?
We're the Horde Takers, Save Makers, Doom Breakers, don't you mess around with we. We're the Horde Takers, Save Makers, Dream breakers, don't you mess around.
All right, let's play some D&D.
Roll.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations, Horde Takers.
They gotta win best costumes too. That was wild. Those were incredible.
Very good.
We were not ready for that. That was one of the days where we did 2 shoots in one day, and we were like already pretty blitzed. And then Ann and Stefan, everybody came at us with that, and it was like, oh my goodness, this is a whole different thing.
Yeah, what energy.
That was a night of many surprises. I think that we didn't know that Luke Gygax was going to be on the team. We didn't know there was going to be costumes and a lot of very dramatic moments. A lot of fun.
We just thought that's how you're supposed to do it.
That's how we roll. That's how we roll.
Excellent.
Dude. Like a panther.
Still not wearing any pants.
Pantsless Panther.
All right, I'm going to move on to our next award. This award goes to the best spellcraft. Now, this team had a variety of spellcasters in their team to great effectiveness, placing and choosing interesting spells, making amazing rolls with their spells, and using them in, frankly, unexpected and pretty thrilling ways. The award for best spellcraft goes to the East Coast Slayers. Congratulations.
Yeah, baby. Thanks, guys.
And we'll share with you now a clip of some of the best spells coming out of the East Coast Slayers.
I'm going to fire the purple flame, the guiding bolt at the cultist that is devouring the still pulsating hearts.
Excellent.
What? This is a ranged attack. That's 10, 15, 17, 18, 19, 21, 26.
With an explosion of radiant damage, the cultist just flies to bits. Hadrad finds himself plastered by smoking remains of cultists. The cultist is completely obliterated.
With a bonus action, I'm going to cast Thunderous Smite. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Everybody see that?
Is that double?
Excellent. So that's 19 points total times 2. So that's 38 points. 38.
Can I cast Liam's tiny hut and pull us into it? Me and Eric and whoever else can come in, like Hadrad.
Isaglin flies up to adjacent here and incants the spell Liam's tiny hut. A purple dome appears around you and Eric and Hadrad.
I will throw the lever, and I throw it.
Unfortunately, you're absolutely correct that the Liam's tiny hut is immobile. So and it is completely spherical. It is a complete sphere. So a purple sphere remains sitting on top.
No! Chris, it worked. It worked. Saved.
No. Excellent. Congratulations, East Coast Slayers, on a well-deserved best spellcraft.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Awesome.
Very good. Congrats.
A toast to using my friend Leonard Lakofka's spell, Liam's Tiny Hut.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's right. Jake, it was your show where we first announced the existence of the Big Bad, and I believe Leonard was on that episode. We were there, got to share the stage with him. That was super fun, and what a great way to kick it off.
Dude, we did like 3 days of planning, and Liam's was central to our plan. I mean, we game tested this over and over, and we're like, this spell's coming out at some point, and it just came at the most apropos moment. So, dope to your friend, man. Very cool.
It was a major moment of upset in the game. I think a key move.
It hurt. It hurt a lot. And
cast fireball. You guys that was a whole different level. Holy cow! Wow, like nailed it. Hit damage and spell. That's spellcraft, baby.
We're impressed by the whole planning aspect. We just showed up.
Yeah. No, we're a bunch of nobodies. We have to play against you guys.
Steph, if I
That's old
recall,
school original plan.
did the Madbird group also do some test runs with some of the characters prior to the shoot?
Yes, we did. Well, it was just only like 3 hours, but it wasn't 3 days.
That's still impressive. Yeah, definitely. It shows in the scores, frankly, how well prepared our contestants were compared to some of our playtest groups. Yes, indeed. Yeah. All right, the next award of merit is for most emotive. So this group was just an absolute delight to watch in the editing room. It was hard to ever cut any of their faces off of the screen because every thrilling moment was immediately echoed with raucous laughter, with looks of shock and surprise. It was just such a delight. The award for most emotive goes to Madbird Streams. I'm going to show you a clip of some moments here, and I would especially like to call out Tasha and Deontay. You're going to see them a fair amount, and they just have some wonderful reactions to the goings-on in the game.
Exilium, which is banishment from this entire dimension.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And you must make a charisma save 16, or you are gone from this plane of existence.
All right, let's see what we can do. Oh, 17.
Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me?
He has a +0. I have 17 straight. Oh.
I think this is fixed.
A massive humanoid figure turns to face you as you come onto this island and stomps forward.
Oh, man. Oh, that is so unfortunate.
And slams his huge stony fists at you.
You hear something foul being digested, like this.
So gross.
Oh, and that's a natural 20.
Awesome! Awesome!
Oh.
See, I said this 20 minutes ago,
right.
and no one believed me this was going to start happening. As the evil high priest, I walk over to the altar, and I grab the lever, and I throw the switch.
Eric, no!
What about Tormarax?
Oh, Tormarax too! No! No! Oh my God, no!
No! Yes! Yes! Right into my trap!
Strelig will use his final lightning bolt at the priest.
Ah! 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 God, word, God save me!
Yes!
Right, the high priest has been
Yes.
destroyed.
Yes.
Chills.
Dang it.
Chills.
Nice.
Oh my God. What a roller coaster.
Madbird was among my favorite victims. I really enjoyed giving them the business.
Well, thank you. That's a compliment.
You know what? I don't think I really had digested just how incredible all the faces were being had in those clips until we aired the trailer, and I think Tasha over Twitter was like, "Oh my God, my face!" The shocked look every time something bizarre happens. Just delightful.
Great.
So congratulations, Madbird. Well deserved.
Thank you.
Super well done.
So, as we've seen in some of these clips, there were a lot of tricks and traps and things that could potentially get in your way as you approached and attempted to take out the big bad. Our next award is actually for the fastest infiltration. Now, this group managed to breeze past these things somehow, and perhaps is a little surprised to learn that there were things like trapdoors and elementals guarding the bridge. Because even during play, and I think you'll see this in the clip, even during play, Dan and I were both really surprised to discover that we couldn't trigger any of those traps. So the award for fastest infiltration goes to WebDM. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I gotta say, I'm like really glad that we're looking at some of this stuff together, because during your episode, I kept thinking, I want to see when they discover all the things that they just breezed past and never got to see.
Yeah.
Narrowly avoided. Narrowly avoided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stone golems. That looks really
What did they
dangerous and
do?
threatening.
Yeah. Right. Well, the stone golem in particular was guarding that little island on the side, but would only attack things that landed on the island and couldn't reach the very top where the bridge was. So let's watch a clip of WebDM expertly sidestep it.
I'm gonna try to jump across the creek and get at least try to climb to at least the top of the pillar there for the bridge.
Oh no! Oh dear! Oh dear! His foot slips and skids on the slick rock. He goes tumbling backwards into the water. The water quickly sucks you downstream here towards these stalactites, where you begin to find yourself in swirling, tumultuous water.
So I'm going to continue to spend movement since I do have these gloves of swimming and climbing, and I get a +5 on my athletics checks for swimming, if need be. But I do swim at my movement speed.
So you make your way. Let's see. That's another. That's 25 gets you onto the shore here. You have enough to get just to the first ledge in just your movement.
He is going to attempt to do what Prue's character did, only less poorly. I rolled a 13, so I got a 19 to do that. Great. And he's going to use the rest of his movement. He wants to try to hippity hop across the other river crossing instead of going straight up the bridge. So he's going to get as close to that as he can. I have 40 feet of movement.
Hop right here.
I got a 25.
Okay, you hop across to this side.
Yep.
You're there at the.
Yep.
I believe I have no end of round anything to adjudicate. So, cultist.
Are you sure, Rev?
I'm actually sure. Yeah. Surprisingly sure about that. Yeah.
No, nothing.
Wow. It's a funny moment, right? Yeah. I realized that Dan and I were the only ones who understood what was going on there. But it was a kind of a funny moment for us to be like, are you sure? Yeah, no, really, no. There's nothing to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was well done. One of my favorite things about the show is the fact that there's the stone golem there in plain sight. It's literally in plain sight in the shots all the time, and then none of the play groups ever realize that until it starts actually moving at someone. So WebDM ran by it at full tilt.
I didn't even see it.
Monk and the Barbarian, and never noticed it's moving right over them the whole time.
See it.
Yeah,
it's just not well sculpted. I didn't even see it lurking there.
Bravo.
Jesus.
Poor stone golem, just looking for a friend. Everyone's just walking right past him.
I don't think we foresaw that, Dan. I think we put him there in the corner, and we thought, well, maybe they'll see him, maybe they won't, and we'll find out. And
I think you're right.
Eli Alexander sculpted that beautiful. He does beautiful things.
It's a great, gorgeous miniature, and it's just
Curse him.
Very convenient, whether intentional or not, that its coloring is just so similar to the rest of the Erenthor set. When I was looking at it down from above at the board, it was incredibly obvious. I thought everyone's going to see this, but yeah, I guess the flat 2D screen just hides it.
We created that thing. I didn't think about wildest dreams that it would attack me.
That's great.
There's a lot of that going around. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Buckley, to answer your question, yeah, it totally was in that clip. And as we watch more clips, keep your eye out. You'll see it all the time now. Now you won't stop seeing it.
Where's Waldo of Big Bad?
Yeah, it is. It really is. The funny thing about that particular game is at the beginning, Dan and I were both really surprised to see WebDM's group had no spellcasters. And that's not true. You had a cleric, but sorry, no wizards, no warlocks, no a lot of offensive magic. Yeah.
Shock and awe.
Well, at the very beginning of the shoot, before you guys had logged in, Dan and I were looking at your selections, and we said, how's this going to work? And I said, well, if they knew about all the traps, if they knew everything I know about the board, what they would do is take the monk and the barbarian to run as fast as they can at the tour and leave the other two behind to do long-range support. And it's basically exactly what you did.
We had very little strategy, but I did overthink all the classes a lot.
Oh yeah.
A lot. Really over. I sent you messages.
Yeah.
Is this okay?
It's fine.
There we go.
It's it's such an interesting party composition, and it worked really well. It worked really well.
Super surprising. We were really super surprised by that action in that game.
I thought there would be traps.
There were lots of
traps.
traps.
I kept waiting for it.
There
were lots. You just managed to avoid them somehow. All right. Our second to last award of merit is for Best Romance. Now, I do want to give a nod here to Tornorax Witchborn and Broomhilda, which was a very special romantic scene to watch in the Madbird episode. However, the award for Best Romance must go to second best.
Yeah. All right.
The romantic entanglement between Gradina Bronzebottom and Eric, the victim, was just expertly played by Marty originally, and then the whole group just got in on it, and it was touched on again and again, quite to our surprise. Not an element we expected to see in the game. I'm going to show you now a nice clip of the best moments of the Gradina, and Eric romance.
I really think that since childhood, she has had a fondness for Eric that I think that she probably keeps pressed pretty far down. But I think in a perfect world, it's sort of a somewhere that's green situation, like kind of imagining the perfect life with Eric after all this is said and done. I think somewhere she sees them living together in the hills happily.
I just am honest, and I can tell that you love this guy, and that's okay, because love is beautiful. And people don't expect me to say that, because they think I'm like some sort of a tough guy, and I'm not going to be in love with love. But I love love more than anybody loves love, and we're going to get you married to that guy, probably here in the temple if we don't have time.
There are enough braziers here to do it. Fine, let's soldier on.
Did he just say that he loved him already, or is that not happened?
Yes, Gardenia, are you gonna kiss him?
Gardenia,
yeah, Gardenia, I can't
come
see
on.
from here yet. Have you already kissed and said you love him? You kept talking about it the whole day.
I'm also standing next to you, and I'm also yelling like this. You remember when you said you wanted to get married? And I said that I was the biggest fan of love? And I said that to you at the beginning? Tell him.
Excellent.
I would like to offer you a ration from my pack, and these playing card sets will do. She's just rifling through her bag trying to get all of
She's in love with you, dude. She's in love with you.
What has this show turned into? What is our action-packed competitive D&D show? What is this happening? It's turned into a romance novel.
Wow.
I gotta be honest. When I heard most emotive and most dramatic, I was like, shoe in for us. But obviously, most romantic is really, that's our alley. That's where we live.
Yeah. You guys definitely brought it and returned to it, and it was really, really surprising. to us to have such an intricate romance. And of course, Marty playing it down the whole time, and frankly, never really bringing it to that expected conclusion.
Yeah, you got to separate.
I offer a ration and just poke me every time.
How about Dan just losing it there, man? That was amazing. He's like, "What is going on?" That was amazing.
Making Dan
Even
lose
if
it
we
is, of
don't
course,
win.
what the big bad is all about.
Exactly. Even if we don't win on points, getting Dan to say, "What has happened to this show?" is really, that's what I came for.
Our final award is for the best comeback. Now, this group took a lot of hits in the early game, suffered a lot of losses, a lot of bad rolls. It was a nearly very close thing, but they managed to somehow turn it around in the end and effect an effective rescue. And that award goes to the Knights of Ulick. Congratulations, Knights of Ulick. And I think we have to specifically call out Will, who took every horrific failure with grace and laughter, and again managed to, in the final rounds, do some pretty amazing things. So let's watch a clip of Will. We roll me an athletics check to try to swim to the opposite bank. And you're looking for a 15 due to the very strong.
Yeah. An attempt you can try and get out.
Great. Give me an athletics check, please. If you can grab onto the rocks there and pull yourself out.
Did you roll 1 again?
Natural 2.
Oh my gosh.
I will try and get out with that.
Very good.
Oh no.
I got another thing.
Unbelievable.
I mean, there's about a
20
giant
feet
rock
gets you
fist
there.
worth of hit points, but
You're in the
Roll an
water,
Athletics
aren't you?
DC 12.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me!
oh,
my gosh!
You're just gonna try and get out of the water.
Also, likewise, getting pulled back by the current, nearly off the board.
First action, that was an 8. Here comes the next one.
Oh my god!
15.
15.
All right, let's go, Kinsey. You got your actions. Finally, you can do. Come on. You're not confused. You're not drowning.
Like that. What are you doing?
From where?
Okay, I can move. My move is 60 feet. I can dash for another 60 feet. I can take an action for 60 feet. I think I can still get up there. That's 180 feet to get up there and still have action.
All right.
This is amazing. I died.
Right?
I can't believe that haste spell is still on you from the beginning.
Yeah. Kensha races past like a blur. You the Septimus sees like a shadow, a gust of air, unsure what the heck just happened. Kinsha, with the magic of the haste and incredibly silent as she is, manages to race all the way up to the top of the tour and stands on the platform and sees the prone form of Eric laying before her.
I've never seen so many fails, Will. I mean, that was brutal. So many fails.
That was brutal. Yeah.
That
I'm so amazed. You made it up to the altar and stuff after that series of failures. That was amazing. Yeah.
I didn't roll to get up there. Wow.
That was, our entire team was swimming at one point. Almost everyone was in the water swimming. Could not get out of the water. It was failure after failure, but we persevered and at least got to the end. So
yeah. A lot of time in the river.
I thought I had the Knights of Ulick, and nonetheless, they managed to rescue Eric anyway, even after all that. So it's an amazing comeback indeed.
That move, I don't know if you could see the miniature there, but that move by the rogue, the hasted rogue, who spent almost half the game in the water, started under the bridge, and in one round raced all the way around up the ramp into the top of the tour. Which is just incredible.
I'd forgotten about the hate spell at that point. When it was cast in the first round, I wasn't even thinking about it at that point, and then it came up, and I was like, "Oh crap! I didn't realize they could make it in one round."
Yeah, that was
Was
impressive.
that 180 feet of movement in one round? That's wild.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Gotta watch the sneaky quick rogues.
Yeah. The haste spell not only gives you extra actions, but doubles your movement, your base movement rate.
Right.
So you're got a double base movement rate and a bonus action to dash and a regular action to dash. That's fast.
That's the game. They were this close to going over the edge of the map. If that river there, if you go over the edge of the board, you're out of the game in an underground chasm of no return. I was
like 3 characters, not 1, 3.
Yeah. We saw Brian in there also fall in the water in that clip.
And I even tried to get more romance. I tried to get more romance in that game because my last command there was with the 3 of them in the water. I gave a command of embrace, trying to get them to come up and go over the edge.
You should have said love. You should have said love.
In the earlier episodes too, I think all the groups just sort of easily hopped over the river. And I remember at one point Dan saying to you, I think we made this too easy. Like everyone just hops right over the river. And then in episodes 5 and 6, everyone takes a swim. So I guess it evens out.
You know someone's down on their luck when they roll a 15 and they go 15. Yeah, all right.
He rolled at least 3 ones. He fumbled 3 times, I think, at least.
Wow. Round after round. And he was hasted, so he was getting multiple tries per round to get out and just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
That's grit. When you stay in the game like that and you manage to actually succeed at the end anyway, that was the grittiest performance.
Yeah. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to everyone else. At this part of the show, we're asking for favorite moments. Does anyone have a particular favorite moment from their game that they recall that they would like to share with us and see maybe how other folks fared in a similar situation?
We can offer a few if you have time.
Please.
I can't remember anything.
Kick us off, Anne.
I think during our game there were lots of funny things happening, but one of my favorite moments was when he went to cross over and he cut the rope, and then he went to do the big swing, and he's trying to describe it, and you're like, you're doing what? I'm like, you're doing the Tarzan swing, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah. There was.
That was fun.
That was a thrilling moment.
I didn't splat into the cliff, did I?
No. You executed very well. The only downside I think to that was that you did manage to collapse the remainder of the bridge. I think maybe you hadn't realized, but the previous round, Dan's cultists had been thwacking the bridge with their maces, trying to break it, and so that last axe swing was all it could take, and the whole bridge collapsed as you swung across.
I personally was hoping that the rope was too long, and then you just like drive yourself into the river. And it was actually a really tense moment when Paul took the actual rope on the bridge miniature and measured it compared to the flip side. And I was really hoping, I want the rope to be longer. And it was exactly, again, that was cast exactly the right size to get you in safely over the river.
Yeah.
We made that bridge. Okay? I know my own bridge.
Stupid, of course.
Yeah. I mean, really nice, really great, actually. One of the lovely things about playing with the Dwarven Forge terrain was being able to just pluck that rope off and let it drop and see, does it swing or is it going to hit the ground? And not having to really do a bunch of math.
Once again, when we made that bridge, I never thought that I would actually be swinging across it.
So who else destroyed the bridge? I think Buckley, you, yeah.
And that was one of my favorite moments because during the game, I might be wrong about how we destroyed the bridge. I'm pretty sure we lit one end of it on fire and then it swung down.
You targeted it directly with a fireball, as I recall.
Yeah. Right. I know that I intended to destroy it. And while we were playing Glow, one of the other players on second best was like, if we destroy the bridge, we're going to lose points. And I was like, no way. If we destroy the bridge, we're going to gain points. Destroying bridges is the coolest thing we could possibly do. And then, I don't want to spoil anything, but in the wrap-up, she was 100% right, and I did not live it down. She still has brought it up. She's been like, I was right about that bridge.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there was a small point penalty for destroying the bridge.
Intact. there was keeping the bridge intact was actually points bonus to help you get Eric off the Tor and back to safety. Actually, so it is true. Parties that did just have the bridge destroyed, there was a point penalty for that.
It's so cool, and also like I haven't played with Dwarven Forge like a terrain before, and seeing it come down and watching a bridge collapse was like, oh, this is cool. This isn't just Paul saying this is happening. I get to watch this cultist die on fire in a river. So that was pretty sweet.
I love you, man.
The best romance has already been awarded. You're not in the running anymore for the best romance, people.
Now, I
don't know,
also
Stefan, I think we can make it work.
I recall that the bridge had taken some damage in the WebDM episode, and Pruitt managed to race across it before you were able to fully destroy it.
Yeah. That bridge was too good to be true.
Yep.
That bridge is just like it's just too good to be true.
We rolled to disbelieve that bridge.
There's gonna be something up with that bridge. It's just right there.
Yep. Too convenient.
Yeah, Dan and I debated a lot about how attractive the two approaches were, and we tried to really balance them out to make them equally threatening and inviting at the same time. I hope we did that all right. Yeah. Although I think the majority of the groups actually went towards the bridge rather than the fields of fungus.
Yeah. Which is funny because our test groups did the opposite. Like most of our test groups went towards the fungus fields, and so we were going in thinking that the attractiveness of the bridge was faking everybody out to avoid the bridge is obviously the most dangerous thing because it didn't look dangerous. But then everybody actually wound up making use of it mostly, yeah.
Well, you know what I think I hadn't accounted for is everyone's fear of mushrooms.
Oh. Fear of slime, and jellies, and oozes, and
The more you know, right? The more expert you are about D&D, the more of the long index of fungal monsters you know about. You've heard about. Whereas like beginners at D&D are like, I don't know, shiitake mushrooms. I like that. Whatever.
Stay away from mushrooms.
Yep.
I think Buckley's group was the only one to attack the mushrooms.
Yeah, that was exciting. As the DM, I was like, I don't know if I'd be hitting all these mushrooms, guys. And they were like, no sweat, absolutely. I can kill a mushroom in my sleep. It turned out to be the ground that was a bigger problem, as I recall.
No, other groups may not realize, but of course the real danger of that area was not the mushrooms, but the churned up earth, which was a tell of the fact that there were several purple worms under the ground there, which erupted and attacked.
That's
right.
We didn't even touch that.
Yeah.
That was smart. I think don't if you're given an option to get on purple worm territory in the future, I'd avoid it. Is what we learned.
I can't wait to see your episode. Oh my god.
We
purple worms.
But mostly by being like, go, get out of here. It was wild.
Yeah, second best took on the worms, and Madbird faced a worm as well, I believe.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
Wow. Wow.
6th level, no less.
Wow.
Yeah, in fact, as I recall, Madbird, you guys actually split and went both directions, and so got to fight both the elemental and the worms.
We had a lot of things. We had a lot of things. Yeah.
Was it a disagreement or was it a strategy? Was it like, we'll get them on both sides kind of thing?
Neither. I don't remember. I don't remember like the reason. I think we just two people went one way to go straight up, and then the rest of us went over towards the bridge.
Now, I'm not remembering if this was your episode or not, but Dan would occasionally, I believe, strategically attempt to force a split of the party with use of insect plague.
We had that.
Tried that with us.
And that slowed us down for rounds.
Yeah.
And I hit that point
that slowed us down.
That was among the most important thing for me to get right. Actually, was that spell. I was very happy when that worked. I was extremely happy at any time I managed to split the party like that.
Yeah.
I was stuck on the steps. I was stuck on the entry steps for the longest time because that spell was on. I couldn't move forward.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You were
pinned
in.
I was casting long-range spells. Yeah, and I kept on casting magic missiles and long-range spells. That's all I could do without going through it. one of the clusterfucks of our group's, time there. Sorry for saying that, but it's
fine.
It went from bad to worse the first 10 rounds. So, yeah.
Was your character in the water, or were you the only one that came out dry?
I was the wizard, and so I was stuck all the way in the back behind the exit plague. Everyone else was on the other side of it. So I just started using them wand of magic missiles, and I didn't move. Almost the entire time I stayed in one spot because I couldn't move because the insect plague until it was done. And so I was not wet. Everyone else was.
I thought you said insect plague.
No, plague. It is a round
Plague.
disc. No, not a plate of insects. Although Dan certainly had a plate of something.
Something different to eat every episode, Dan.
Was it the same thing every episode, or was it a different thing every episode?
It was a
my
different
favorite
thing
thing
every
is watching you.
What was it?
What are you going to tell us what it was?
Okay,
wanna
so
know.
the following might get cut out of the episode, right? So we might not have, what I'm about to say, we'll cut out of the episode, but I actually took an oath to not tell anybody. And later on, I realized that I forgot what I was eating. I didn't write it down, and I actually can't remember. And there were so many different things that I actually can no longer remember what I was eating from episode to episode, to be perfectly honest.
You were totally freaking us out when you started eating those things. It was really gross.
It was amazingly awful.
Yeah, one of the clips that looked like beets. Was it maybe beets?
Let's you know what? I have a
Never
clip
beets.
here.
Never
I have a
beets,
clip
okay.
here of Dan eating
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Shall we watch that right now?
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look.
Grubs or perhaps giant worm eggs, squirmy living organic sac, some sort of organic material in it. White squirming giant larvae with large fist-sized squirming wiggling grubs. They burst apart with fluids running out of them as though these squiggly purple things inside are about to crawl out. He consumes it like this. 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 Like that. Like this. Like this. And he consumes it. Like this.
What happens if the DM is too full to continue?
That's a good question. Dan may have literally bitten off more than he can chew.
He's like, I was waiting for my guy. You're a very hungry guy.
I got a lot more fiber. I got a lot more fiber than normal during the show actually.
Holy cow.
The reactions were really incredible. So as the show went on, I got more and more energy behind it because everybody's reactions were so awesome. So thank you for playing along with that.
Great. You're devouring it. You're freaking us out. I thought you were going to puke.
The commitment is very impressive. It's very impressive.
Juan Gusto.
So Dan,
that supercut is incredible. That's so like the timing on like this. Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, Dan got to eat a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It was interesting digging through
And
the
that's
footage
all
to
we
find
know.
them all.
At this point, that's all we know.
That's
I
all
ate a
we
bunch
know.
of stuff.
It's a lot of things.
I did not keep
I'm going to steal that for one of my games. I want to do it like this.
You deserve it. You deserve it.
You know, the other interesting secret in the game that I wonder about is will fans of the show attempt to translate what Dan was saying? Because even I don't know what the heck he was saying, but he was reciting a specific ritual there.
Those are real magic.
Was it? I mean, like the characters' names were Latin, the enemies' names were Latin, but it wasn't Latin. You were saying, was it?
I would. It was Latinish. It was Latin based. I'll say that. Yeah.
Pig Latin.
Latin.
All right.
Interesting.
Called it.
Church
It was Latin.
Did you remember
Was
it
it
enough to
fantasy
recite a little
or
bit now,
medicine?
or is there a clip we can watch? Now we don't want to know.
This I did not think to make a clip of, but Dan, do you have some?
I don't think I was wondering if anybody was going to ask that, and I actually didn't prepare that. I will say that the spell names, I was saying the spell names in actually real Latin. So I had a list here. And it's funny because it's not something we normally do in our normal D&D games, but for this I actually was using actual Latin names for the incantations of all the spells to try to keep it semi nice. Have some verisimilitude to it. What I was doing.
Yeah. That's a nice trick.
Some magic. Some Beelzebub. Go ahead.
No, Dan,
I read some comic cracks about how to make that happen, Stefan. So that's what I was using.
So Dan, I remember that in some of your other games, you had another mechanism for saying the names of spells out loud. I wonder, would you like to incant Insect Plague for us in that system?
I believe that would be Eglap Tenatstrak. I think I don't have it in front of me. I would need it in front of me to read it properly.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, in my normal D&D games, I got in a habit of pronouncing the spell names backwards, and I did it for several years. As a matter of fact, nobody ever caught on to it for at least 4 or 5 years until Buckley played in one game with me and was like, "Well, that's the name backwards, and we can tell what's coming at us by just reversing what he said." And I'm like, Buckley's kind of borderline too smart to be in my games because now this is here.
Oh man, that was the best because you're such a thoroughly demonic DM that usually sitting at a table with you, I'm like, Dan's gonna murder me and skin my character, and that was the one time I got to see you look at me like, oh crap, like oh no, he's figured it out. That was great. I don't think you've used it on me since then.
No, I had to change my whole protocol because of you. Thank you very much.
There you go.
I have to
It's
say,
an often looked over part. The dungeon master should work on their incantations. I mean, this is a much overlooked part of dungeon mastering. I think it's fabulous. You did an incredible thing, and I'm gonna, work on that.
Yeah, it's really
I'll buy you a Latin text tomorrow.
It's nice to have a system. It's nice to have a system to fall back on because then it's just rules and you just apply it, and it definitely adds a little verisimilitude to the game.
That's high praise. I'm incredibly flattered. Thank you for saying that.
I think my favorite part of the whole game is our group is very, very narrative focused, very character focused, and very not strategic in our podcast. And so in the first 10 minutes, basically the first 10 minutes of play, we just talked about like one of the characters loving football and Marty being in love with Eric and like all of this world building stuff that had no strategic value in it whatsoever. And you could see Dan the whole time being like, I'm going to eat these people alive. And then the first actual thing that happened was a fireball that went off and killed like half of the cultists in one round in one of the first shots, I think. And then instantly Dan was like, oh my god. It was great. I love that moment. A million of emotions.
And surprised, I think surprised Dan with the sculpt spells ability, which we hadn't foreseen being used.
It's similar to that. Our party had a lot of people who do a lot of live streams, and so we're used to having to clock in a game at a certain amount of time. So we were very proud that we ended almost exactly at the 2-hour mark, and then we're told we got additional points for doing it faster. And we're like, what? We did it so perfectly. We're like, oh man. Oh well. We had fun.
That's awesome.
Before I move on, does anybody else have any other favorite moments they want to share?
We tend to roll a little bit on the other side of things, is not as much theatrics and more just like in your face stuff. I mean, my original DM for 30 years was Joe Manganiello, and he just pummeled me day in, day out. I mean, we played the Palladium system first. Dude, I back-to-back death blows. If you don't know death blows, it's like you got to call it and then you roll a 20. I did it back-to-back. He still didn't let me kill his character. And I mean, that is how, so then I moved from Pittsburgh to Connecticut, and I just brought that, like, pummel all mode to every one of my players. And most of the guys playing with me in our squad now, the East Coast Slayers, is, I mean, old school gamers. And I mean, I threaten TPK almost every single adventure, and I mean, I'm pretty legit about it. Like, I have no problem doing it. There is a lot of theatrics. There's a lot of funny moments, but we are just hardcore, and I mean, it gets intense.
Yep.
I mean, like really, really intense. And I think that was probably my proudest moment for my squad, is that we kind of parlayed that into how the game played. We started kind of slow because I really prepped them thinking you guys were going to go heavy traps, heavy old school D&D, and then we got insect plagued early, so we got kind of bogged down in that. And then it was like I hit the head cultist with a crit on the Javelin of Lightning, and then we flew Chrissy up to Lehman's tiny hut, and what I was so proud of my group is you could just see the energy. Like, that's where we feed off each other. We all try to just destroy each other on a weekly basis. But, I mean, it's like the intensity when she hit Lehman's tiny hut. Like, we were on the phone on a multi-call for hours after that. And that's just how we roll. I mean, we look like jackasses most of the time, and we take it way too serious.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
most of us are like elementary school teachers, but we just don't give a shit, man. Like, we are like so ready to destroy.
Awesome.
And when a plan actually comes together,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a beautiful thing, and we just feel off of each other's vibes. So it was pretty cool.
I'm impressed with all the prepping. Before the prepping, you guys, you're preppers.
There you go.
You guys are preppers.
I was thinking more like professional
you know
hit squad, but yeah.
Scary. When COVID first hit, I ran 14 straight weeks of gaming, I think, every Friday night. That was probably the most intense writing sessions, because I'm the DM of the group, that I've ever done. I mean, it got to the point where I think at week 15, I was like, guys, and I have young children. I was like, I have to take a break. I was like, I can't keep writing. I'm just this bad. But that's how we roll, man. We bring the intensity. And if you guys know Joe, and I know a lot of you guys have played with him, he does the exact same thing. He preps out the wazoo, man. I mean, it is like we are prepped to the T's and just ready for Sarah. And that's what the beauty of D&D is it takes us in so many directions. I mean, there are games that I have to cut off after an hour because I'm just not prepared for what my players are bringing for me. So certain nights end early because you just aren't ready.
You just
for
don't know what's going to happen next. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Joe was playing in one of my games, and this big dragon was coming in the cavern. I was like, all right, yeah, this dragon's going to take out a couple of players on this one, and before he could breathe, he cast paralyze on it, and it fell into the lake.
Yeah.
He fell into the lake and drowned. Damn you!
That's great.
He's still talking about it too. He keeps rubbing it in.
I will, another interesting point about the show I'll point out is Dan and I feel pretty strongly that TPK does have to be on the table for it to be exciting and thrilling. That's why there are 12 characters for you to choose from, because if we did TPK an entire team of 6, we wanted you to be able to bring in the B team.
And usually when we play this kind of game at conventions, that totally happens. Like, I'm accustomed to like wiping out parties and then having another batch come in against me, as a matter of fact. And that didn't happen with any play group in the season. And we were like, wow, these are really top-notch expert players to avoid that, because it was a totally different play style. Like Steve McCauley is saying, it's just super level of preparation that we had not seen until we started doing the show.
Jay, I think you had a point, please.
Yeah, to Steve's point, we prepped, but because I play 1E, 2E to this day, I think it actually put us at a little bit of a disadvantage, because we were going to have our thief constantly checking for traps, constantly in front of us, like an old school dungeon crawl, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think that kind of hurt us. And then when it went on with when the disaster started happening, that kind of threw that out and just said, "Oh, let's just do the best we can at that point." I think it actually, our prepping hurt us in the game. So we should have just done a damn the torpedoes effect. That would have been a little bit better for our group. But it was still, it was a great time. Absolutely.
Great time.
Yeah.
I
think
definitely
any group of D&D players knows that, like, while planning is great, it never really survives past the first round.
Yeah. Well, that's like, hey, all battle plans last right up until first contact with the enemy, right?
Yep.
Certainly.
Yeah,
certainly.
exactly.
All right,
I think Jim had a point there, Paul.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Jim. Please do.
Yeah. So I can't recall a specific moment, but I seem to remember that like the fight at the top of the pillar around the altar was both very tense and very ineffectual, in that the dice weren't going in anyone's favor. Like nobody was getting their spells off, nobody was hitting, and so there's just this like tense moments, because it's like, all right, is this going to be the one where the banishment's going to work, or is this going to be the one where we finally hit and kill this guy? And so it's like these really great tense moments in the second half of the game.
Dan kept commanding me to do ridiculous things.
Yeah.
And it never quite worked out. And that was always fun.
Yeah. Or Pruitt always passing his charisma save against the banishment despite having no bonus at all. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Very tense.
The banishment was pivotal. I think it actually worked once or twice, but the banishment was a really pivotal point, whether the character was on the board or not after that.
It was a banishment moment where I was like, oh shit, sorry, oh bleep, we've got our work cut out for us here.
Yeah, I think.
Well, there was a play test. There was a play test before the season started, actually, where we were playing, and I had that option, and I actually texted Paul behind the scenes. I said, "Are you okay with me actually casting banishment and throwing a player totally out of the game?" And Paul was like, "Yep, that's the game." And I'm like, "Great, okay, banishment, you're out of the game, buddy, pal."
Yeah, well, and it's so against like a lot of the play culture of like, no, you can't do that. You can't just take someone out of the game. They're not going to have anything to do. And so like when it came out, I was like, all right, this is some real D&D here.
Yeah.
Like we're about to have to really think this through and like plan everything. So, but we were already, initiative already been rolled by then.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, Dan, how many successful banishments you actually had. I know that you banished Pruitt, and I want to think you banished Ed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Steph. You remember that moment?
Yeah, I do.
I think I cast it a bunch of times, but just 2 successes. So yes, thank you, Pruitt and Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah, how was that moment for Ed, Steph?
First edition. You got to do first edition in D&D.
I thought we were in real trouble.
Several of us agree. A number of us agree with that.
All editions next time. All of them.
All editions.
All
editions.
Oh my gosh.
That one might kill us.
You had a D&D game where
I like it.
I wonder if it could possibly work to do a D&D game where some of the players are operating under first edition rules and some under 5th edition, like in the same game. Like, what kind of magic?
Oh boy.
Like Dungeon
That's
Master,
I like my first level wizard with more hit points than the fighter.
Right, there you go.
Steph, what did you do after? How early did Ed get banished? And what do you do when you're down a player in the middle of hell?
Oh, well, I think it was like halfway through that he was finally that he was banished, and then we were really, really hurting. He was able to get back towards the end. I think we were almost wrapped up when he was finally able to get out or to get back onto the playing field. His character was banished. Ed's character was banished. And then we had one character, which was Deontay's character, who was like in this eternal struggle with the rock golem. And he would not stop attacking, and he would not stop fighting the rock golem. Like, it was incredible. Like, he fought it from the time the rock golem came on the table, which was like 25% of the way through, to toward like the end. Like, he was fighting, like, I think he finally defeated it though at the very end, I think.
Yeah. The golem, and, the elemental is the single most powerful monster on the board. And I think only 2 groups actually killed it. Yours and Lord Gasamba's group. Yeah.
And it was just like one guy. Like, Deontay's character was just wailing on it the entire time. So they were both preoccupied. I think Tasha's character was having trouble because she was getting hit by the worm and kept getting like, I think she might have been knocked unconscious once. I don't know. I don't remember.
She was in death saves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was up when I played Tormarax, and I was up on the broom pretty much the entire time and just like trying to get hits anywhere I could.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, that's
just you the whole game up there.
I think that's that's the strategy. I think if you get hit with the banishment spell, is to recognize that it is a concentration spell, so you just got to bring the heat on the caster. So either give him a bunch of damage or force him to cast other stuff that's going to disrupt that spell.
I recall telling the rules lawyer that Eric was it counted as equipment for Pruitt,
That's right.
and therefore would have been banished.
Therefore should have been banished with him.
Our superb referee shut that down.
Was your argument that Eric seemed like a tool, or
because he was encumbering our monk?
Yeah.
That it was counted as equipment, like, you know.
Yeah, actually, at that point, Pruitt, as the monk, had actually picked up and was carrying off Eric, and then got banished while carrying him away. Yeah, it was a heck of a moment.
I'm just still in awe that there were purple worms on the board. I mean, we didn't even hit that at all. I'm like that's like mind blown, right? I'm like, there were purple worms on the board. Like, what?
Right.
There were a bunch.
That's crazy.
They were actually
that's
quite a
crazy.
number of them.
kept coming.
Were they full
Ride
purple
the
worms or
worm,
like
baby, ride
juveniles?
the worm.
They were slightly reduced. Now they're not, I don't think, by the book juvenile worms, but they were slightly reduced. But they could still do a full swallow, and they still had poisonous stingers. And they were coming out one round at a time. So one would emerge, and then another, and you had to be in their territory. And they had to be able to sense you with their tremor sense. So if you flew over or if you climbed on the rocks, then they lost track of you.
That's how we avoid.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think Pruitt was over. If you recall, actually, at the end of your episode, Dan was really hammering with how exactly does he get down the side of the cliff? Because we were trying to determine.
A lot of show me on the map what happens.
You land right here
or
here.
Yeah.
When we finished it, my first thought was like, man, I guess, they just want to have the cultists and the head cultist and Eric, like, just for the time limit. I guess they really want to keep this thing really tight so you can finish on time.
No, you guys race through.
There was a point where we were worried we weren't going to fill up enough time with that episode. Actually, we were like, what's going on?
Speaking of time. Sorry,
before we go on, Paul, it's one other favorite moment of mine. I'm sorry, Paul. We can cut this if it's not good. But we went through the entire season with that really powerful, rock golem, right? And it's got like 150 hit points and a ridiculous AC and enormous damage, and it takes half damage from normal weapons. And so, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 went by, and anytime it went out, it could really suck a lot of time from the party because it was more or less immune to everything. And then we get to the Knights of Ulick episode in episode 6, and they get split up. And one single character, I think run by Tim, Ragnar, the teeny tiny gnome paladin, has the golem come out at him. And he kicks the shit out of it. Ragnar kicks the golem's ass from one end of the board. He just literally knocks him around and scores.
Knocked it into the water twice.
Yeah. Throws him in the water. He comes up, throws him back in the water, knocks him back. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen with that gnome kicking the crap out of the rock golem back and forth. That was really amazing.
Yeah. It turns out the gnome was the perfect foil for that because it was, I think, susceptible to thunder damage, which he had, and he had the ability to move it around. And so at the beginning, before we even started filming, Dan had a little scripted thing that he said about the scoring to each group, and it was full of hints, and it was very carefully crafted. So Dan, can you please read for us now that script that you gave to every group at the beginning of the shoots?
This is what I would read in the pre-shoot part. Points are awarded for eliminating enemies that I control, achieving stated goals such as rescuing your friend Eric, and avoiding the tricks, traps, and pitfalls that are intended to slow you down. So keep that in mind as we play.
There you go. There's a lot actually packed into that little dense statement there. So we've talked about killing enemies, right? So importantly, killing the enemies that Dan controls got you points. Killing enemies that I controlled, there were cases where I was rolling the dice, did not get you any points. And that specifically covers our elemental and our purple worms, which are just there to slow you down.
So the acolyte, the high priest that I was running, you got points for that. 100 points per acolyte, 2,000 for the high priest, and the golem and the purple worms were just traps.
So Dan, across 6 episodes, each episode had 1 high priest and 8 acolytes. How many total survived?
I see 1 acolyte total.
Right, a single acolyte survived the show.
Wow. I managed with the colleagues group, the East Coast players. I managed 1 acolyte. You're right. They were indeed. I was suggesting maybe I should get more acolytes at one point, but the main DM shut that down.
The elemental and the purple worms are there to slow you down. Time was actually very important in the game. And as we mentioned, actually, time was being counted in rounds very visually by Dan eating things. That was ultimately the point of that, was to be the visual indicator of rounds passing. So every round that you let him do a little more ritual and he ate a thing, you lost a few points there.
So freaky!
So we lost a lot of
3
points.
rounds. It's like round 4. We're like, oh shit, he's eating him, and that's bad. That's bad. I thought that was for like entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
So do we get bonus points for interrupting the ritual? Because we put an end to that eating of stuff.
Well, we should call out the Horde Takers here for actually specifically targeting the goblet itself. They actually went after and destroyed the goblet of things.
Very good.
Which absolutely, you get points. I think you scored a bunch of points by preventing him.
That's right. Make it stop.
Yeah. I think there was a point in that show, Dan, where you had somebody like scouring around, and I think I made you roll some dice to see if you could find a grub that wasn't smashed or full of glass, and you failed.
Correct. There was one round where I failed. The Horde Takers, also second best. Both stopped the ritual after only 2 turns, and that was as good as it got. We had a huge point bonus if anybody stopped on the first turn, and nobody scored that. But both Horde Takers and second best stopped after only 2 turns, so they got 5,000 points each for that. So super good job.
Wow, that's awesome.
Very good.
Yeah, that's
good.
It was just so disturbing.
I had a lot more. There were episodes where I did that 4, 5, 6 times. You got it as little as anybody.
So the biggest point values, right? We're stopping the ritual. We're for killing the high priest, and then of course for actually rescuing Eric. And there were a couple gradations in that. You could fail to rescue him. You could rescue him but allow him to take some damage, or you could rescue him completely whole, undamaged, and that was the highest point value.
Only 2 groups. I'll fill you in. Only 2 groups managed to rescue Eric without any damage at all, and that was the East Coast Slayers and WebDM. And they got the full 5,000 points for. So as you saw, there's a trap door under him, and I had formal rules that I was following. At a particular point, I would throw the switch, and so most of the time, Eric would get thrown in the pit and start taking death saves as a result of that. But East Coast and WebDM managed to save him before I could do that, and it took no damage.
Yeah, Eric, FYI, was basically fully damaged but stabilized. So any damage was going to send him straight into death saves. And excessive damage could have killed him outright, although that was pretty unlikely to happen. So I think there were a couple of groups where I was rolling death saves for Eric towards the end. Although I think every group did manage to get him out alive. I don't think he died on anyone.
That is correct.
Nice.
Yeah. So well done.
Sorry, but once again, the entire time the victim was sitting on the altar that we designed. And I know there's a trapdoor there. And for the life of me, I can't believe that I didn't pay attention to that. They're like, using the trapdoor that if you pull that button, he's going to. And it didn't occur to me that you better rescue him.
Yeah.
So it's your fault we didn't get those points.
It's like a nightmare.
It's funny.
Things agree that they're used against me. I don't know.
Stefan, Dan and I had this very conversation actually when we said, Stefan's going to be playing. Will he know that there's a trap here?
We totally did it. We were like, should we do something extra to penalize them or something like that? And I'm like, it's D&D, and you get to use your knowledge. And if he comes in and says, hey, that's the collapsing altar, good for them. And we were going to go with it. And I was happy to bring this surprise to you.
Done in by all your own devices. It's a nightmare.
All right, I have one more clip to share with you all, which is actually a presentation of how the pit trap went for each group.
Oh boy!
So let's check it out.
Not on my watch! And I reach up and I grab the switch and I pull it.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And a trap door opens, and your friend Eric plummets into a pit below.
Gardenia yells involuntarily.
My
husband!
And I grab the lever, and I throw the switch.
Eric, no!
What about Tormarax?
Oh, Tormarax too! No! No! Oh my God, no! No!
I must slay the victim now. And he grabs onto the lever, and he pulls it.
No!
I would like to use my thaumaturgy cantrip to open an unlocked door.
Septimus enhance the magical thaumaturgy spell.
Yes!
Causing the trap door to swing open, and Eric and Pincha go plummeting into.
I'm gonna look that priest straight in the eye and be like, "Listen, hey, this is your house. You want us gone? We're gone." And I run up and grab him, and then use my move to move 45 feet, like straight down the side.
Roll 20 feet.
Yeah, like right there.
Yep. I'm not going to roll the 2d6 falling damage because it can't possibly get over the amount that you absorb from your monk ability to slow fall. So you've made it there.
Just kind of slide down the side.
And I'm just to remind us, I'm going to put Eric's miniature here right next to you, so we remember that you are carrying Eric.
I will throw the lever, and I throw it.
Excellent.
Like this.
Okay. Just for the visual effect, because it's fun. He throws the lever, which opens a trap door, sending plummeting anything above it below. Unfortunately, you're absolutely correct that the Leomund's tiny hut is immobile. So and it is completely spherical. It is a complete sphere. So a purple sphere remains sitting at the top.
No!
And it would have worked too. Meddling kids. You meddlers.
Yeah, so two groups there managed to avoid the pit entirely, one via Leomund's tiny hut, and one through just a very fast monk getting on and off of it very rapidly. Dan, as I recall, actually in the WebDM episode, I think there were multiple times where you tried to tempt them onto that platform. I don't know, Emma, especially you were, as Khaim the Vanquisher, were standing there, and I think right in the middle of the pit at one point, fighting some cultists, and managed to chop them down before they could throw the switch. Any notion of that's what was going on?
I mean, I was aware that I didn't want to be on a fucking religious cult altar, but I wasn't actively aware of it, and I was also a little bit like relieved I think I had a fleeting moment where I'm like, this opens up and I fall and take some damage. At least my rage will still keep going. Like, that would be good.
That's true.
So
I knew it was a trapdoor from the model, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want to, anybody metagaming,
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh,
that's great.
Wow.
That's great.
Wow.
See, we were worried about Stefan, and apparently it was Jim that we should have been worried about.
I played with that trapdoor so many times. I was like, oh, it's that trapdoor from the snake cult.
Yeah. Now we had a couple groups who intentionally jumped down the pit. I want to think that was it Madbird? I think Victoria tried to Misty step down, which only got her 30 feet, and then fell to the remaining 20 down into the
Yeah.
50 feet.
Yeah, because Tormarax was stuck down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Misty Step, though.
Yeah, it was a good use of Misty Step, and managed to lower the damage enough that she was able to survive it. So that was good.
We were trying to get a potion to Eric since he was doing badly.
That's right. Strillig had the potion of healing and was just trying to get down there.
Mhm.
And it worked.
Mhm.
It worked. You managed to stop the death saves and get Eric out.
I'll also point out that we had a side set of inside the pit, and I can't remember what team saw the inside of the pit, but there was a whole separate side set that we would switch to for action at the bottom of the pit. Actually, yeah. Okay,
Yeah, a couple.
I'd love to see that.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't have anything on hand to show it to you now, but you will see it in some of the episodes. It's just a pit. It's but yeah, I wasn't sure what kind of action we would have down there, so I had some models on hand ready to go just in case.
We'll post something on social for that, I think.
There you go. You know, there's a couple other minor things we discussed, like destroying the bridge lost you a few points. Not a lot, but there was a small penalty for destroying the bridge.
Right.
There was a small penalty if anyone fell in the river. It was just one time, so many people falling in or falling in repeatedly wasn't worse for you. So don't worry about that.
Or 500 for that.
Yeah. Just a 500 penalty for anyone ending up in the water.
But it would usually slow them down. So there was a tactical penalty on top of the numbers there.
Right. I think that probably about covers scoring. Does anybody have any questions about what?
Paul, let me mention the last thing is there was a multiplier for how many characters the party used. Mm-hmm. So our base level for all the points was ×1, and there was an extra 10% penalty or bonus for using more characters or using fewer characters. So the groups that only had 5 players had a ×1.1 bonus. Theoretically, if people lost characters and used more, we would have started multiplying by 0.9 or 0.8. Nobody did that.
Yeah.
It turns out that actually didn't make any difference because Paul has run the numbers a couple times, hypothetically changing that number, and it turns out that the final rankings actually didn't really make any difference based on that multiplier, but we had it in there. So if 2 teams tied and 1 team had fewer players, the fewer players would have won.
I mean, likewise, it would have been a stiff penalty if we did have that moment where a group of 6 completely TPK'd and had to bring in all 12 characters. That would have been a very stiff penalty. But as Dan points out, ultimately, it changes how close some of the position races were, but it doesn't actually change the overall ranking.
You won.
Yes. So it just remains now for us to award the official Season 1 Big Bad Trophy, which I have here. I'm afraid, unfortunately, I won't be able to present it to you directly, but I will be happy to put this in the mail to the group who won the official Big Bad Season 1 championship. And let's find out who that is.
I'm
let's
legit
take a look.
nervous right now. Legit nervous.
I'm gonna show now.
That's in the wheelhouse for the Big Bad. That's how you should feel at all times.
Excellent. All right, so I'm going to pull up the final leaderboard for us all to see the ultimate champion of the Big Bad. Here it is. Congratulations, WebDL.
Awesome. Wow.
Congrats. Thank you.
Excellent.
Dang, by a commanding lead. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa, they blew everyone away.
I think they were the ones
They
that
blew us
Eric
all
was
away.
Yeah.
Now, in some of the...
How did that happen?
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
What was it that we did that lead?
You got the bonus for getting so quicker.
It's really about all the things you missed. It's about not getting bogged down by worms or elementals, by not falling into pit traps, right? And very quickly, again, you got the points for killing the high priest and all the cultists. You got the points for stopping the ritual very quickly. Right? How many rounds was that, Dan? I think 2 or 3? 3.
It was 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Within 3.
Is motivated to get you to stop eating those disgusting things that I think are artichokes, but you say aren't. Yeah.
or something.
I'm glad I gave that motivation.
Well, we knew it was like
no
a
one
rescue.
fell in the river. They didn't rouse either of the monsters on either side.
Yeah.
Eric took no damage, so they got full points for that. And they used the minimum number of players as well. They only had 4 players to boot.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, I'll point out, even if I ramp them up to 6 players, theoretically, they're still in front.
Congratulations. Congrats.
Yes. Bravo.
I have a quick message
Were they
from
done
Rudy.
in like an hour? Like, did they have this done in an hour? That's incredible.
I think their episode is still the full 2 hours in duration, although
Damn,
we had to
man.
cut very little in the editing room.
We knew the
That's
goal was
amazing.
to go in and rescue the guy, and ultimately that's what we did.
Rescue, and then Dan was like, avoid this thing, avoid traps, kill the enemies.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't get hurt. All right. Okay.
Yes.
Get our guy and get out.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. A focus on that, I think, is really what did it for you. You know, it was really impressive watching Hadrad get up there and ready to lay the smackdown on a whole bunch of cultists and decide, nope, going to scoop up Eric and get out. You know,
And
focus on that
this
goal.
was the group that did it with pretty much no magic users, right?
I was
that's
playing
right.
a cleric.
You played a cleric. sounds
We had
like.
we had
one cleric.
All I did was cast spells. I hung back and just
Yeah.
had guiding bolt.
Yeah.
And
Cleric's not
Crusader's
a
mantle
magic
up front.
It's a priest. It's true.
Yeah.
Another
We had,
barbarian, a monk.
It's 5th edition, Stefan. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it was a cleric of the war domain.
I prayed that they would die.
But yeah, it was barbarian, monk, ranger, cleric.
Yeah, barbarian, monk, ranger, cleric.
That's what I did.
Yeah, so you had the
Wow, you popped the
exactly
ranger.
exactly the strategy I thought would win with that group, which is to rely on the high speed of the barbarian and monk, the 2 fastest characters in the game, except for maybe the thief, and have them run as fast as they can to go save Eric, while the ranger and cleric hold back and fire from afar.
Yeah,
Really
our ranger had like the D4 from Crusader's Mantle, Hunter's Marks. He was rolling like 3 dice of damage per arrow. It was pretty
Yes.
pretty fun.
To that end, Rudy has a message in case we won.
Yeah.
He said, never forget, halflings are cold-blooded murderers underneath their fluffy exterior.
Excellent. Thank you, Rudy.
Nice, Rudy. Super
He also
nice.
says he can't wait to spend the $10,000 prize money on new mini.
Can't wait for the to come in.
Paul, did we make an award that's solid gold? Is that what we did? Are we delivering solid gold?
What you choose to do with this lovely trophy is entirely up to you.
I don't see how
We gotta
Yeah.
do this again. We gotta do this again.
Yeah.
We gotta get that trophy. We gotta do this
Yeah.
again.
Yes. Well, there you go. The gauntlet is thrown for season 2.
Happy to
Yes.
to contend with our contenders again.
Would love to.
Excellent.
We'll make a shelf.
I'd like to get
Shelf. Oh, she's talking smack already.
We got, let's do this in the old school. Do this in 1E. 1E.
Yeah. We'll do it in one. We'll do it in one.
Yeah,
Sure,
one
we'll
E.
do it.
There you go. Let's do them
Yeah,
one E.
yeah.
Anyway,
A lot of fun.
I just want to say, like Stefan is saying, it was a ton of fun, and we just want to thank you for having us be part of this D&D adventure.
What a
And so
great-
thank you
good
guys.
adventure.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah. It
And
was
I want to see him eat some more of that stuff. Gobble that stuff down. It's freaking down.
Watch every episode.
Dan, did you have last statements you wanted to share?
I want to say that it really, on our end, really, you guys really made the show. We could not have wished for better play groups, and every single team that came on surprised us and shocked us, and it was the hardest DMing that I've ever had to try to give you guys reasonable challenges, frankly. And the difference, we had 4 playtest groups, and if you look at the numbers on the leaderboard right now, our playtest groups had median scores of only like around 3,000 or so. So every single one of the real testers came in and vastly exceeded what we thought was possible in the session by leaps and bounds. And so the level of play and the level of energy just completely made the show, and we could not have been any more fortunate than to have you guys and your friends on the show. So thank you guys so much for that.
Absolutely. Thank you to all of our excellent contestants.
Excellent. D&D.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will, as Dan points out, you'll note in the earlier episodes that there are some other names on the leaderboard because those are our playtest groups. And so you will see some of their scores and they just filter right off the bottom of the list by the time the season ends.
I'm a 5th grade public elementary school teacher in Connecticut. It has been such a ridiculously stressful month. I've been waiting for this for like the entire month. I cannot wait to watch every single one of your episodes. Like, awesome. I am so excited. I'm just like, I could talk to you guys for hours. I'm really excited. So, Dan and Paul, thank you guys so much, man. Like, this was awesome.
That's
very cool.
That's the
Very
best.
awesome.
So much fun.
Hopefully we've all made some new friends too, and we all keep in touch, and we can, correspond and, throw out the challenge for the next time. But it was definitely a pleasure and honor to be on today.
I can't wait for next year for all of us to gang up and really take down WebDM. Just absolutely.
It's a little better.
We're coming for you. We're coming for you.
All right. We're here. We know
That really is like
It's
right fun.
That's the energy we want.
Let's do it in OED, right? Let's do it in OED and just like, yeah. There you go.
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
You guys are not only good players, you have excellent taste too. So.
I'm in on that. Absolutely.
Dan, any final statements then? Did you have something you wanted to share?
That's it for me. I could not be happier with the season, and I'm so glad everybody came here for the Big Bad Awards show, so that we could get together and hash out how the season had gone and see who has the target on their back for next time.
Excellent. Well, I want to say a final thank you so much to all of our teams. Thank you to our generous sponsors, Dwarven Forge, again, for making it possible and for making this gorgeous set that we got to play on. And thank you, viewers, for sticking with us and watching this, our first season of The Big Bad. And hopefully we'll see you next season on The Big Bad.